guys, welcome back to the Sarai Show, your daily dose of real talk, deep thoughts, and a little bit of chaos. Today, I had one of those grounding conversations with my parents. Well, my dad mainly. And my dad, being the wise man he is, reminded me of something very, very important, which is I shouldn't be afraid. None of this should scare me because that's exactly what they want. And when I say they, I mean the people pushing this mass deportation fantasy, because that's what it is, using fear as a weapon, as a tactic. I'm going to be honest, my sister and I, we've been feeling a little on edge lately. A lot, actually. Uh, I haven't left the house in a week, which is very unusual for me. I try to leave at least once a day to walk my dogs, at least. I don't like to feel like a hermit, but this fear, this looming constant fear, has been gripping me in a way that I hate admitting. And it's that classic PTSD and anxiety mix, right? The one that convinces you that something bad is definitely about to happen, that it's better to stay inside, stay small, stay unseen. So that's when I called my parents. And my dad, he grounded me and reminded me of who I am and, all that. He said I was scared because that's what they want. That's literally the objective. But to remember we are or we come from immigrants, and immigrants were resilient. We always have been. We always will be. And he's right. My parents, Mexican immigrants who built a life in this country, have seen everything. They've seen fear campaigns before. They've lived through threats, racist policies, broken systems, everything designed to make them feel like less than. And yet they're still here. At the end of the day, fear is just a tool, but resilience, that can be pretty real. And my dad reminded me of that today. Thanks, Dad. As far as the actual logistics of this whole mass deportation fantasy, it's just that, a fantasy. I know people love their action narratives, but deporting millions of people isn't like rounding up the Avengers for a mission. Here's why: we need immigrants, period. Our economy literally cannot function without immigrants. As long as we continue needing agriculture, construction, the service industry, tech, we will need immigrants because immigrants keep those industries alive. Just a fact. Deporting millions would mean economic suicide. Also, it's just logistically impossible. To deport millions, we would need billions of dollars, thousands of officers, transportation, deportation centers, all of that. And ICE can barely handle the caseload as it is. So immigration courts are already backed up for years, like literally years. There's no infrastructure to process mass deportations. And most people, they actually come back. This part is something that no one talks about enough. My dad reminded me they can deport as many as they want, but they always come back. The US economy needs them anyways. Their families need them. They find a way. They always have. This is how it's always been. So if you're also anxious about this administration and everything they've screwed up in such a short period of time, just remember Trump is all talk and very little action. We have had him as president before. Soon enough, he won't be able to handle the criticism because he's a petty man, and he'll get distracted just like he did the last time he was president. Keep in mind, he embellishes everything. He wants people to think that he's this strong man leader, but when it comes down to it, he does the bare minimum just to appease his base. He promised a wall. What we got was a mix of new fencing, some repairs, and a whole lot of propaganda. He claimed and birthright and birthright citizenship never happened. He's pushing mass deportations again. It's a scare tactic. He wants fear, not actual results, because results, those require things that we just don't have, like a backup plan so our economy doesn't crumble. We don't have an entire brigade of robots ready to replace the work of immigrants. We simply don't have the logistics, the funding, or a realistic desire to go through with this plan. And historically, Trump does just enough of anything he promises to distract everyone. I do want to circle back to the way this could affect our mental health, like it has me. If you are someone with PTSD like me, or anxiety, or even if you're just feeling like a little on edge, just remember that our brains sometimes lie to us. Your feelings, they're valid, but they're not always accurate. I was convinced it was too dangerous to leave my house all this week, that something bad would happen, like seriously happen. My dad, he didn't dismiss me. He listened. He validated my fear, but then he also pushed back. It's okay to do that, to just ask yourself, wait, how much evidence do I have to support this fear or this sadness or whatever other negative emotion that's causing you harm? Write it down if you have to, because sometimes that's what you need in order to see beyond that negative bubble and believe that a different outcome could also be true, and perhaps a positive one, or even just a constructive one that's a little more productive. If you're in a place where you can't do this yourself because it's something that actually requires practice, find someone you trust who will listen and acknowledge your pain and your concerns, but will also push back on the beliefs that are hurting you. Usually, my sister provides that, but we were both in a similar mental state. We were both a little anxious and scared. I'm glad and grateful that I have other people in my support system. If you can do that, you should do that as well. This time, my dad, he reminded me of reality by sharing a little bit of history. And that reminded me of my resilience just as a person. Here's what I took away from today. Fear is their weapon, but resilience is mine. Resilience is our weapon. Tragically, good people are getting deported, yes, but mass deportations at a large scale is a logistical fantasy, not reality. Dangerous extremists are out there, but as soon as they expose themselves, as they have been, the majority of people are extremely supportive and they're willing to defend you by going out of their way to seek justice in their own methods, which is quite impressive. And finally, anxiety. It's not always accurate. And grounding yourself in facts and trusted people you love helps a lot. And as for me, I'm actually stepping outside tonight. I feel sorry for my dogs because my fear, it stops me, but it's not the truth. And I refuse to live in someone else's nightmare. Thanks for hanging out with me today. If this resonated with you, let me know. And as always, take care of yourselves. See you next time.